Hello, and welcome to the third edition of the Cambridge Encyclopedia of the English Language, or SEAL, as I like to call it. Well, a lot has happened in the last 15 years since the second edition. I suppose you could group what's happened into two main types of things, the predictable things and the unpredictable things. Among the predictable things, of course, are the increase in the numbers of people who are using English as a global language around the world. I mean, that was an obvious section that would need to be updated. There are certain areas of the book where you could predict the sorts of changes that were going to have to be made. And then there's the unpredictable side of things. I mean, who would have predicted, even 10 years ago, that I would have to write a section on a post-Brexit European English, for instance, or that I'd have to take into account the new oratorical styles of American presidents and the catchphrases that come in relation to that. We're going to make SEAL great again, perhaps. But in other respects, I think the research of the last 10 or 15 years is one of the most important things to take into account. Just think of all the areas that have developed in linguistics and applied linguistics that an encyclopedia of the English language would need to reflect. The developments in cognitive linguistics, for instance, in gender studies, in forensic linguistics, in search linguistics, searching the internet for all sorts of things. And indeed, it's the internet as a whole, isn't it, that has been the most noticeable sign of development over the last 15 years, which any encyclopedia of language would have to take into account. Just think of all the new domains that have emerged since 2003, like Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and WhatsApp. Think of all the playful areas of language that have developed over that time, like lolcats and doggolingo and all these other ludic areas of language. They've got to be in a modern encyclopedia of the English language now. And then more specific things like the development of the Oxford English Dictionary, the revision that's taking place there, which means that any sections in the book which are based on that kind of historical approach have got to be revised. Like, for example, how many new words is Shakespeare supposed to have invented? Well, there are changes in the last 15 years in relation to that total. And then, of course, one of the biggest things of all, big data. Yes, the enormous sizes of language that you can explore these days, thanks to developments in corpus linguistics. Has to be a big section in the book on that, because corpora are now in all shapes and sizes, and the most wonderful techniques available to explore English as never before. So all these research areas had to be taken into account, and others that I haven't just mentioned. And then you look at the book as a whole, and you suddenly realize that in 15 years, a lot has changed simply graphically, in terms of design. I mean, think of the mobile phones and so on that were there 15, 20 years ago. Big clunky things sometimes that you held up to your ear. Well, many of the pictures in the book, of course, reflect a period of that time, and they've got to be changed. About a third of the illustrations have had to be changed in relation to this book in order to make it feel like a book for the 21st century and indeed into the second decade of the 21st century. So when you take all these things into account, the new research areas, the new illustrations, it's a new reading experience. And then, of course, most wonderfully of all, it becomes a new auditory experience, because now, for the first time, I have so waited for this moment, it's possible to now add an audio dimension to the book as a whole, thanks to the technological developments of the last few years, the multimedia developments and everything. Now I can add an audio version of the phonetics section, for instance. Wonderful. And even more wonderful, I am able to give an audio representation of the periods of English since the beginning. How did Beowulf sound? How did Chaucer sound? How did Shakespeare sound? Thanks to a great deal of research over the past few years, plus a technological set of innovations that make this so easy to do, we now have an audio dimension to the book as a whole. Plus, of course, links from every page to some other dimensions elsewhere, links to other websites and other audio sites, which will make looking things up and developing the theme of a particular spread much easier. And so here's the third edition of Seal. I hope it's an even better reading experience than it was before, but even more than that, I hope it's an exciting, new, exploratory listening experience.